Okay, welcome back. It's Friday and end of another week. Hard to believe, really, they're going by this quickly. And again, I point to the news cycles. They come and they go, sometimes 4 and 5 times a day. I have never seen anything like it. We are clearly sitting, all of us, on the cusp of some very dramatic and potentially very dangerous outcomes. I don't mean to point in any particular direction, but all the indicators are that things are moving towards something very large, very profound, and very dangerous for the Republic and the country and its people, which have been tragically fragmented into 2 utterly polarized groups which are not even close to being on the same table when one begins to talk about a hoped-for reconciliation. Not going to happen. Health. Health is everything. And believe me, with so many people around the world, billions of people now, under extreme duress and stress because of the so-called coronavirus pandemic and the actions taken to allegedly mitigate its vicious activities among cultures and societies all around the world. We are literally on the doorstep of enormous changes. And they're going to be very surprising, I'm afraid. Health, if you are not happy, your immune system fails. And if your immune system fails, the door is swung wide open for any number of diseases and health conditions and complexes that will leave you in many cases, seriously, if not gravely ill. We know now that in the United States, 1 out of every 2 people will get officially diagnosed with cancer during their lifetime. That is moving very close now, I'm told, to 1 out of every 1 American who will have to deal with cancer in his or her lifetime. This is not a good situation, and it's all tied to diet, to stress, to all manner of problems. It's an issue that we just can't say, oh, it's going to go away and get better. No, it's going to get worse. They're finding out now that people who are put into, I guess you'd call it lockdown, I call it house arrest, but whatever, who are literally locked into their homes most of the time, they have shown many times more grave illnesses and issues that they would normally otherwise encounter. It's just not anything that can be easily dismissed. It just doesn't happen. There are people, great scientists, wonderful scientists, incredibly brilliant scientists who are working on any number of ways to try to take care of the cancer problem. And one of the companies involved, we're going to talk to the lead individual. Now, this is a very big story, and it hasn't really been out in the news yet. It has many different directions it can go, from 60 Minutes to any number of major outlets. We're very proud to be able to talk about this tonight, this first hour, with one of the companies, one of the people who are very deeply involved in this, and it's fascinating. The gentleman's name, our first guest tonight, is Attorney Geert Kersten. That's Kerstn. He's a JD. He is the Chief Executive Officer of cel-sci, cel-sci Incorporated, and they are working on an absolutely extraordinary, all-natural, non-toxic cancer cure, which is in late phase trials right now. So this to me is music to my ears. I was studying this whole issue of Royal Raymond Rife 35 years ago, the man who used, allegedly, electronic frequencies to treat successfully cancer. There have been others, but this is something that is actually going through the channels and the obstacle course and the gauntlet of mainstream government medical approval. This is different. This is unique. And I'm very happy to have Geert on tonight. Thank you. And are you there? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfectly. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Now, you've been with cel-sci since the late 80s. Do I remember correctly?
Well, I actually have more than half of my life devoted to this one product, 34 years.
Wow.
Built the company up over years. Have been through more crises than I can count. Because
why am I not surprised, Geert? Seriously. You've chosen to walk one of the most difficult paths of all, and you've paid for it, obviously.
But it's worth it, you see. You see, the power rests in us. You're alive. Everybody is listening. We're alive because of the immune system. But we don't use the immune system in the treatment of cancer. And in fact, we started our phase 3 study 10 years ago, which by itself tells you already somehow people were living much longer, which is one of the best signs that we could hope for success, right? But people at the time told us,
Go ahead.
People at the time told us the immune system cannot fight cancer. But hasn't that changed? You open the newspaper, every day they're now talking about the immune system being the future in the fight of cancer. And this is what happened. We figured out that your immune system can fight cancer, but cancer is like a terrorist. It hides from the police. What the police needs is the intel. Okay, at this address is a terrorist, and this is what the bad guy looks like. You don't have to hire more police. There's plenty of police around to take care of a bunch of bad guys, but you need the intel. That's what our drug does. We copy the healthy immune response as expressed by the cytokines, the things that regulate your immune system.
Sure.
And it sounds simple, but it took us 10 years and $100 million to put that together. But that your own immune system has the power, but it needs to learn that there is a tumor, because right now, when you first have that tumor, the tumor makes itself invisible to your immune system.
How does it do that, Geert? How does it make itself immune?
Mechanisms.
Yeah.
Oh, it has many defense mechanisms. Well, the key one I would say is it makes itself look as if it's part of the healthy body. But it has multiple defense mechanisms. Tumors are unbelievable at survival. So, but look, we can conquer tumors. But if you don't mind, can I just walk through the current treatments? Would that be okay?
Please.
Show you?
Yes, absolutely.
So I want you to think of friends and family who've undergone cancer treatments, and I always find out in the end everybody has a personal story. Hopefully they made it. But what we do in order to save people is, as a first treatment, and this doesn't show any of the progress that we think we've been making, as a first treatment we give people surgery, radiation, and chemo, right?
Oh, yes.
Surgery was developed by the Egyptians 4,000 years ago. Radiation was developed by Madame Curie. In France, 150 years ago, she died from radiation poisoning. And chemotherapy comes from mustard gas used in the First World War.
Boy, we're really up to speed, aren't we?
Advancement?
How modern can it get? Good grief! All right. Well, the reaction to that and the question, Geert, is why are we stuck back 100 years ago in World War I with our most current and advanced form of cancer therapy? What the hell's going on here?
Well, they've obviously improved them a little bit, but that's like incremental improvements on let's say, a horse buggy instead of having a car, right? So what they've done is, the drug development is, I take people who have failed the first treatments, the tumor has come back, and who are going to die. So now I can run my studies faster, and I can get to market faster. But no one has been trying, or very few people, let me put it this way, have been trying to actually make the first cancer treatment more, and listen to the key word, curative. Because in cancer, you've got to be cured on the first go-around. Once it comes back, your chances of success are very, very small. So you want to make the surgery, radiation, chemo part more curative. Now, in defense of everybody, it's not as easy as you would think. So from an ethical point of view, the new medicines like ours are unproven as of yet. So therefore, you are not allowed to delay the proven treatments of surgery, radiation, and chemo. I cannot remove them. I cannot delay them. FDA or hospitals will not give me permission to do that because I might end up killing a person if my drug doesn't work. I completely get that. So we have the only medicine that I know of that can, in 3 weeks, get a full immune response going. And why is that important? Because you only have 3 weeks to treat before the surgery, which you can't delay, right? So you get that first surgery where they cut the tumor out. That generally takes 4 weeks in our cancer, head and neck cancer, but I think it's true in many cases. So you can only treat for 3 weeks. Normally, cancer drugs take months to work. Anyone of your listeners who's had family and friends go through treatments, they know it's months of treatments. We have 10% of people with zero tumor in 3 weeks.
Wait a minute. They started out with a tumor. I don't think we've ever
seen that.
And the tumor, all right, you have a tumor, a diagnosed tumor, and it's gone within 3 weeks? The body actually consumes it, breaks it down, it's gone.
That's exactly what happens. It's not our medicine. Our medicine enables your healthy immune system.
Right.
Because, look, this is the key thing. Once you've had surgery, it cuts your lymphatics. It's immunosuppressive, radiation and chemo. Well, they destroy your immune system. So what's left? So any immune system activation after those treatments is going to be much weaker and dysfunctional. So we believe an immune system activation against the tumor must occur before you've destroyed the immune system with surgery, radiation, and chemo. It's such a logical concept, but it's never been done. And
it's
that's
so
why
logical.
it's also taken so long.
How could people miss it? It's right there. Wow.
Well, okay, first of all, it's never been done, and people don't like things that have never been done because they're riskier, okay?
You mean like Moderna, excuse me, you mean like Moderna creating a vaccine for coronavirus in 2 days, which is their claim? 2 days of vaccine? Talk about never been done before. Medicine sometimes my jaw just drops at what I see. It's crazy. But yours is predicated on reality, common sense, and simple physiological competence. I mean, it's not a mystery.
But you see, there's another reason. It's called mega money. The cancer is, in the end, so for individual scientists, it's very often personal. But the big decisions are made by big money people, and that's driven by Wall Street, who has zero patience, don't want anything long, and people who want to preserve certain cash flows. So the interest, they want to improve your treatments. But the idea of curing people, well, that's like Gilead, who cured hepatitis B, and they had great profits for 2 years, and then suddenly the profits disappeared because there was no one left to be, or very few people left to be cured. It's not good business if you have an existing business in cancer. We don't care about that. We want to screw that up.
That's right. I've said this for over 20 years, 30, 25, a long time. There's no money in curing cancer patients. The money is in treating them. We know this. And the average significant cancer patient, I believe, generates close, if I'm not correct, tell me, close to $1 million from diagnosis to disposition, we'll call it.
Well, I actually heard it's worse. I heard the last 6 months alone are $1 million.
The final 6 months of life are $1 million. When people are so desperate and their loved ones are just dying of grief, and the individual stricken is dying of cancer, and meanwhile, big medicine is making $1 million just in the last 6 months. Unbelievable.
But you see, what's so great about this country is, in this country, you can actually, as a little guy like we are, you can screw the system up and change things. It's actually possible in the U.S. It's not possible in other countries, but here it is.
Right.
Think
well, I'm
about
glad to
this.
hear
We've
that.
worked on it for 30 years.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm happy to hear that, but my sense has been that big medicine, allopathic medicine, big pharma are so entrenched and they own the cancer game from beginning to end. They really do. That to shake things up would be almost impossible. But you're saying it is possible. And I guess that's what your company is.
Let me quickly tell you.
Yeah.
We overdo everything. Because we're little, because we're trying to change the world, we overdo everything to perfection. So, for example, our phase 3 study is focused on a very large cancer, head and neck cancer. One of the reasons we picked it is because the last approval in advanced primary, that means very sick people who haven't been treated yet with head and neck cancer, was by FDA was over 60 years ago. No new medicines for this disease in over 60 years. Think about it.
Oh, I'm aware of that. I understand. I do. Yes.
If the need is great, you see, we have a divided country. I agree, I heard that. But when it comes to cancer, we're not divided. It doesn't make any difference.
That's right.
And it gets all of us. It doesn't care. It doesn't. And so, wherever I go, someone has a personal story. And by the way, that is what kept us going over the years, right?
Mm-hmm. I just lost a very close friend. Yeah. Go ahead.
When we come in there with a study of 928 patients, the largest ever done, a study that lasted 9.5 years, a study that's controlled, that's blinded, a study where MD Anderson, the famous cancer clinic, controls that, makes sure that radiation around the world is given the exact same way, where we bought the cisplatin chemotherapy so no one can claim that it's different, where we did a 100% medical audit on 928 patients. Which, imagine, the financials of companies being audited 100%. That's what we did in our study. That is how you change the standard of care. And now comes the really big clincher. Only FDA can say it's non-toxic, but we have seen no toxicities. The moment we show the world it's possible to have a non-toxic cancer drug that works with your body, not against your body, what's going to happen? You're going to have different expectations. You're going to challenge the crap that's being sold today.
Right.
Excuse my language, but this is exactly
Oh no, you're being
right?
very polite. It's okay. No, I would have used different words. It's fine.
But you see,
it's terrible
what's
going on today. Yeah.
It's possible, and it doesn't happen often. But by the way, the biotech field has these successes on quite often, right? Some of these companies, great. All of these inventions come from us little guys who are scrappy and who are, basically at risk every single day. That makes us smart.
I got it. You're in phase 3 now. Do you have the cel-sci, cel-sci.com, cel-sci. Does cel-sci have one primary, we'll call it a product, one discipline, one protocol, or are you working on a couple or 3 different approaches? Tell us more.
So we have some other things on the side, but let's only talk about the cancer thing. Our vision is that, and we're starting with head and neck cancer, and then we hope to take it to breast cancer, melanoma, cervical. We already have good results in some other cancers. It's not a cancer product, it's an immune system product. Our vision is that where today patients get surgery, radiation, chemo, in the future they will get our drug first, and then surgery, radiation, chemo. Imagine you have a large table that you want to lift up. You have 3 people, surgery, radiation, chemo. It's not going to be that easy. It's easier if you pull a 4th person in and say, can you help us? The same thing here. Yeah. Now, a very important factor. In many of these diseases, you get radiation and chemotherapy at the same time. And some of your listeners may already have experienced that in their family. It's so miserable, people sometimes even die from it. it is critical that anything that you add have no toxicity, and that's why our product works there. You can combine it with these horrible treatments. It doesn't add toxicity. It doesn't hurt anyone. It works well with those things.
So there's no bad interaction between your approach and the traditional cut, slash, and burn. It's
not at all.
Fascinating.
It's the natural approach, and then hopefully, by the way, for right now we cut tongues out. Well, not initially we can change that, but I'm hoping that we can find markers that tell us that you're the 100% responder, and we can save your tongue, right? We can save you from having half of your jaw cut off.
I can't even I don't want to think about it. Thank you. I mean, you spelled it out perfectly, Geert. We have to take a short break, just a few minutes, and we'll come back. This is a really fascinating conversation, very valuable and inspiring to a lot of people out there. And, you know, right now, Geert, there are people listening who just within the past week, few days, got the results that, I'm sorry, Miss or Mr., you have cancer. This happens constantly. Hold on a minute. We'll come right back with more. Okay, this is exciting, and I'm really honored to have Geert Kersten with us. This is, again, the first time that this has been talked about in the American major media. We are hearing things that very few people have heard before. Geert is the director and chief executive officer of cel-sci.com, and they have, I've been looking at their executive officers and team members for most of the day off and on. Just absolutely top-rate people, scientists, you name it. They're just a terrific group you put together, Geert. All right, let's go back to this issue. Someone said, and I've forgotten the exact words, but nature or God provides all answers to all problems. We just get in his or her way. We're in the way. We poison our bodies with toxic food. We live in environmentally toxic locations. We degrade ourselves. We always beat up our immune systems, it seems like. So the answers really, as you said in a way, aren't that complicated or sophisticated in terms of trying to approach them. It's somehow that people have just missed the boat. This big boat is just going right past us as a species, and Geert is saying, wait a minute, did you see that? That big boat? And there it is. And so that's what you've been working on since the late 80s with the company.
Yeah, and I would paraphrase it a little differently. So
Please.
Every five years we hear about a great new cancer drug and a new target, CD this, C47, you name it.
Since I was a little kid, I've heard about this.
Right?
Cure
and
for cancer.
And this is going to fix it. And the problem is, it's like the game Whack-the-Mole. Yeah, you whack the one mole, it goes down, and it pops up somewhere else. Cancer cannot be defeated with a simple one whack. Cancer is too convoluted, and any approach to defeat it with a simple one whack has always failed, which is why we always have new targets that Wall Street sells us. So
well, as you said, cancer is a terrorist.
Yeah, but it's a very, very smart and complicated terrorist that beats us on a regular basis. Now, we don't think that we are so brilliant that we can figure that one out. But what we think is that your body is that brilliant.
That's what was in that boat, your body. That's right.
Your body has the capacity. You're alive. I'm alive. We have fought so many diseases off. Right now, as we speak, as healthy individuals, let's say we have about 3 billion immune cells that are mature, ready, and able to kill running around.
Right.
That's a lot of immune cells. Except they don't know that you have a tumor because the tumor has managed to make itself invisible. What you need to do before your immune system is destroyed by surgery, radiation, chemo, you need to tell those 3 billion immune cells there is a tumor, let's say in your tongue, and they come flooding in which is the only logical explanation, because you don't have time in 3 weeks to make all these new different immune cells, the only logical explanation for a complete elimination of the tumor in some of these people and a large elimination of the tumor in the other ones. These tumors never, ever go away by themselves. They are squamous cell of the head and neck. Nasty.
Right. Okay.
It's your own body. And this is not limited to head and neck cancer. We also did a study years ago in HIV, HPV co-infected women. Those women, because they were HIV infected, couldn't fend off the human papilloma virus, which affects a large part of the U.S. population, and then causes various cancers, such as cervical cancer. In these women, 80-90% of the HPV strains, and where they were infected with 15, 16 strains, it's a lot, got killed by their immune system. It wasn't our drug. Our drug is the fixer for your immune system. It's the enabler for your immune system. It's the enabler for the good side.
Geert, let me ask a question. Is your drug or your approach to this, no, I don't mean to oversimplify this at all, but are you somehow looking for a way to light up a tumor so it's no longer invisible? Is that what your basic premise is, to some degree, to make cancer visible?
That would be oversimplifying it, but yes, it's the way I would say it, yes, you light up the tumor, put the spotlight on and tell the 3 billion cells go and eat it up. That's exactly right.
Very good. All right. Now I think this gives our listeners a real solid handle to grab onto with this concept. Our bodies, our immune system is really miraculous. Somehow we end up either compromising it, or in this case with cancer, it's literally outsmarted our immune system and appears invisible.
So it needs help. Right?
What
we
a
all
brilliant
need help
approach.
at times.
Wow.
Yeah, but you see, when you do something new, it's always harder. So our answer to that one is we will overdo it so no one can trip us up.
Oh, well, I really like your approach. You have to do that. You're up against a very diverse and treacherous enemy, if you want to look at it that way. The cut, slash, and burn people have been making probably $1 trillion, who knows, since the beginning. They've made a lot of money. There's a big business here in treating cancer, in cutting out tumors, in using radiation, in poisoning people with this horrible chemotherapy thing. I'm speaking for myself, not Geert, but these things are well known to all of us to be essentially failed approaches. They don't work. They buy you a couple of extra years. They leave you with no tongue, no jaw. They cut out your organs, and if you make it 5 years, you're called a cancer cure, a success story. Come on. That doesn't work for me.
But Jeff, we're a SWAT team. My team's been together for 25 to 30 years.
Wow.
We are the number one experts in the world in this one area. We have assembled some of the most amazing people around us. Our biostatistician who works with us has brought 45 drugs to market, was an advisor to key government groups for 20 years. I mean, we have an amazing brain power experience all in this tiny group. So it all depends on the data. Now, let me quickly run. We had to wait, and this sounds crazy, but we had to wait for a certain number of people to die in the study before we could reach the end of the study. And under this trial design, to show survival getting much better, which obviously is the key of any cancer drug, the longer it takes, the better it is, which obviously is something that Wall Street didn't like, and so it was difficult for our stock. By the way, we're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So, but again, then it all became great because people figured out that it took about 2.5 to 3 years longer to reach those number of deaths for the study to end. But then Wall Street figured out, if people are not dying in your study, that is a good sign. So it's very simple. Wall Street likes those who are going to win, and Wall Street will love us when we win, and then you get even more support. And honestly, it's between data and the support of Wall Street, because they give you the money, that you can get these things done. The problem is, and how do I survive this long road in between, which fortunately for us is in the rearview mirror. But that's the hard part for any biotech company.
I understand. All right, here's another question. Oh, let me just read this real quickly. The mission for cel-sci.com. Our mission is to improve the treatment of cancer and other diseases by utilizing the immune system, the body's natural defense system. We strive to create real value for our stakeholders by developing unique therapies that address unmet medical needs. We are tenacious, dedicated, long-term, and out-of-the-box thinkers. We develop our therapies using the most rigorous, scientific, data-driven approach. Now, question, Geert. Within your team, and this may be too private, I don't know. Within your team, after all these years, and having made the progress you have you had any people you work with using your technology to defeat cancer? Personal friends. Just a question.
We're not allowed to, right? We're not. So if I gave my product unauthorized to FDA to a patient, I'd end up in prison. So the answer is no. We have not done that. We don't want to imperil the overall project.
Very good. All right, we're on record with that. I understand. Okay, the immune system. What do you also do to help the immune system? Do you have an approach to try to build it up? Do you have simply an approach to help it identify the enemy, the terrorist in the body? Or do you have a regimen of, let's call them supplements for fun, things that will enhance the immune system's ability to go in there and dismember that terrorist? Any other approaches?
Okay, so we have a second technology, but let's forget about that one because we're going to confuse people. The technology we use for cancer, it works. The idea is that you use it while you still have a healthy immune system, because that's when you have your best chances of success. That means you have to use it right after you've been diagnosed with cancer, before they cut it out and do the chemo and radiation afterwards. So because then your immune system is screwed up and the immune cells can no longer get to where the tumor was because it's been cut and all of that stuff. For that to happen, you don't need to give supplements. You don't need to strengthen anything. You already have 3 billion immune cells running around, except it's like policemen who are told to look for a terrorist and they say, send me a picture. And you don't have a picture. We're providing the picture. And with that picture, they can do their job. That's how it works. They are blind without our drug. With our drug, they are no longer blind.
This is
how our immune system works. You just need to help it, guide it, nudge it.
You're helping it open its eyes and identify the enemy. I understand. How close?
The power of the immune system is so unbelievable.
Oh, I believe you. I truly do. I'm a vegan. I'm very conscious of my health. Have been for 40 years now, and thank God I'm fine. And I do believe it's because I have a very competent immune system. I look around me, and you look around you, and we go out, and your staff goes out. We look at people. We don't see healthy people. We see people overweight. You look in their eyes, look at their color, look in their shopping cart, for goodness sakes, and you can get the picture. It's that simple. How close are we in phase 3? Where are you in the process? You're not able to go to market yet. I mean, what is your projection? And you did say over and over again that you overdo everything to be on the safe side, and I thoroughly applaud that. Yeah.
So after the study finishes, you have to make sure that all the data, everything is done perfectly. You go through everything from beginning to end. That's called locking the database. And we have done that. Actually, we don't do that. It's the people who run the study. They're called clinical research organizations.
Right.
And then, according to a pre-specified statistical plan, not involved again, experts, statisticians and biostatisticians will do the analysis. And we're not allowed to see the results per the FDA requirements. And then at the end of that, we get the results. So a lot of people think all you do is you compare how many people are dead in this group versus that group. That's idiotic. There is so much more to it, right? There are. Let's look at what kind of drugs get approved. Toxic drugs get approved if they give you 2 extra months of life. We hope to do so much better. No. We hope to increase the cure rate.
Right.
The first treatment in the medical language is called intent to cure. That doesn't mean everybody is cured, but we give surgery with radiation chemo, hoping to cure you so that never comes back because we eliminated everything. Well, let's say it works in a certain cancer in 50%. Right. We are hoping that when you add our product, that cure rate goes to 60 or 70%. But the power of the immune system and the mechanism of action of the immune system is so different. What if we were to find that in some people, we can vaccinate against the tumor? And the reason I mentioned this is because 15 years ago in Israel, we did studies, and some of the patients refused follow-on treatment. So they got our drug. They still had remaining tumor. Remember, it's a really short time that we give our drug. So they refuse further treatments because these are horrible. You cut half of a face off, etc. So in this disease, you have tumor, it grows, you die. Except in those people, it didn't. The doctor, Dr. Feinmesser, at the Rabin Medical Center, couldn't figure it out. His wife was head of pathology, and she tried to figure it out. No one knows why. So what if some people in our study, and we should figure out what people, right? What genetic marker do they have? What if they can become vaccinated against their own tumor? This is the holy grail. You can live with a tumor like you live with a freckle. Isn't that unbelievable as an idea?
Sure is.
So that's what it is. We're going to find out the results fairly soon, okay? So obviously if the stock market is watching for that one because it will have a great impact on our share price. But that is what we are looking to do for people, ultimately.
Right.
Now, may I share my vision with you?
Please.
You don't have to talk money. Any cancer drug that works always makes money for us investors. And that for my 34 years I've worked on it, I've put everything I have into it. It's never been the motivation. So we don't have to, it takes care of itself if you're right. My motivation is that we can show the world it's possible to have a non-toxic cancer drug. And it's possible to have a cancer drug that works with your body as opposed to against your body. Think of there's nothing as powerful as an idea. I imagine your readers, your listeners can think of that. The moment you show it's possible to do that, have a non-toxic cancer drug, they will challenge the crap that's being offered today. That is the greatest change we can bring about. And the product will be, product multi-kind we call it, will be the mechanism by which we can bring this about. That's the goal.
You would literally, your company and the wonderful people who work with you would literally change the face of humankind and its life on this planet when you get to the point of success. And I mean bureaucratic success, all success. Are you seeing, can you visualize the end of the line? Do you see it? Is it visible?
And let me put it this way. It is, yes, when the study is completed, the study is data locked, all there is the final analysis. And I've worked with our head of research for, 31 years? the man is a major pain, but he's never wrong.
That's funny. That's great. What a team. It says meet the team on the website, and it is obviously a team. These people care. You're literally handling the future course of human health on this planet. That's the potential here.
No, what it is, it's the opening of a new chapter. This is a phenomenal book that can really help medicine, not just in cancer and other diseases, too, via the immune system. We have the capacity to get people so interested in that first chapter, so interested that they want to read all of the other chapters. And from it there will be lots of smart people and people with money and people with ideas who will come up with new ideas that will revolutionize the way we treat by using the immune system. The ultimate idea is to remove surgery, which I told you is at least 4,000 years old, right? And it's still the best cancer treatment. Cutting your tongue out, cutting your breast off, I think unsatisfactory treatments, to say the least. Radiation and chemo poison you. The goal ought to be that we have 1 or 2 or 3 immunotherapy treatments that we combine. Because cancer is a very, very hard enemy. You got to combine things mostly. And we combine them to eliminate today's nonsense. It's a long time.
You're being very polite. Nonsense?
Well,
how about butcher? I would call it butchery.
Well, but you see, everything is relative, right? Like so many decisions in your life, you don't have a choice between good and bad. So often your choices are between bad and quite horrible. And
isn't that the truth? Yeah.
And so you see, in cancer, those are the choices. That's why it's so important to show the world it's possible to do better. You're also offering hope. What is the worst thing you can do to a person? You remove hope.
Take their hope, of course.
Yes, you have no hope. That's the end of your life.
Second worst is to take their joy away. Yeah, I agree. Well, this idea of offering hope in and of itself will stimulate the immune system to try harder. It will. It's good for you.
It probably will, but when you're talking about squamous cell carcinoma of the head and neck, I don't think hope's going to do anything. That thing is so nasty.
You've got to be utterly engaged with the enemy, but when you can't see the enemy, it becomes very difficult. I'm very, very encouraged by what I've heard in this hour, and I truly thank you for coming on the program and sharing this with, I think, and I've been doing this program for 27 years, the smartest, wisest audience worldwide in talk radio. They've heard you loud and clear. Now, if you'd like to give your Wall Street ID for people that can follow you there, they can certainly click on Geert's name and guess and go there, cel-sci.com. Tell us your Wall Street handle. What is that?
Sure. So we're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. We're one of the smaller New York Stock Exchange companies. And the stock symbol is C as in Charlie, and then Victor Mary, CVM, Charlie Victor Mary, or as we say, cel-sci, Virginia, Maryland, because we are in Virginia and we have facilities in Maryland.
Very good.
Charlie Victor Mary.
Got it.
And yes, by the way, we live by the grace of the thousands of supporters who, by the way, basically, I mean, this may sound weird, but I call us the medicine of the little people. Because like I said, the change never comes from the big guys, right? That's also what true capitalism is about.
There's
the little guy comes
money
and screws up the big guys. And that's what we have in cel-sci. Thousands of doctors, of any normal people out there who feel that change is necessary have supported us over the years.
That's wonderful. That's a real medical populism, you could call it. That's good. I'm encouraged. Anything you want to add, Geert, that we haven't touched on in this hour? We've just got about a minute left.
I want to thank you. I do believe, by the way, that if you have good data, you've generally at FDA, no one who had survival benefits had problems in getting FDA approval. I think the good people at FDA want to approve cancer drugs that help cancer patients. And so everything rests on the data. But all the signs that we have seen, also outside review and what they told us, they should have stopped us. The people on the outside who looked at our data, they're supposed to stop the study if it doesn't work. But they didn't stop us. They told us to continue. So everything suggests that we should be successful, and we're just waiting for the final data. And, we're blinded, and they're going to give us a call one day and say, here's the data, guys. And then we have to announce it.
That's really, really encouraging. At last, some genuinely good news in the war against this most heinous of all enemies, cancer. Geert Kersten, thank you, my friend, and I hope to talk to you again. If I can be of any assistance, don't hesitate to let me know. Good luck.
Thank you. You've already been of great assistance. If people know about us and follow us, it's very helpful. Thank you so much, too.
My pleasure, Geert. Good night. Happy holidays to you. Yes. Good night.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Geert Kersten. What a story. That's a good news segment for sure. All right. We'll be right back. Hang on.